which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And that. We looks like we have some interest in speaking here tonight. We do have one board member that's gonna be leaving early. So what I'm gonna do, we normally have two places to address public input. The first one's for input on agenda items only. And then there's a general comment. It's at the end of the meeting. So I'm gonna move just general comments up, and we'll look like I have three people that would like to speak, and we'll go with that. And then at that point, once the public comments over, you're more than welcome to stay and watch the school board meeting. A lot of good stuff on the agenda tonight. Or you're free to go. So first off, we'll have, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. So Kimberly Pitts. First number. There you go.
So I need to stand. I just want to know if you guys have or can give a general statement, as you know why I'm here, why most of us are here. If you can give us a general statement to ensure the safety of our children out at all of our schools. And also, how do I want to say it? I understand that there's a personnel issue going on. I understand that. And I know that you're very limited as to what you can say. And I understand that, and I respect that. I feel like that's very fair. However, I feel like it's also important for the parents to know that you guys are doing your due diligence and everything that you can to ensure a safe environment for our children. There's been no public comment. There's been nothing. It's been radio silence. And I expect more from our administration, and I expect more from our elected officials. I think it's a very simple thing to do. And I feel like you guys have failed at that so far. It's been almost a week.
Thank you. I think first and foremost, to address the first part of your question is the safety of our children's number one. It's our top priority.
I appreciate that.
Always has been and always will be. They are the reason that we're here, and everything we do is for them. You're right, and I'll turn this over to Mr. Murphy here in a second, but you're right. This is a personnel issue, so we have to treat it as such, confidentially, as we work through a process. And
I can respect that.
And we're doing that.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Steve?
Well, just this.
Just for some awareness for folks that are with us for the first time, Mr. Murphy is our board counsel. He's the attorney that represents the board and helps us in a variety of issues, including personnel matters.
And I can assure you that this issue has been at the top of our priority list. But as indicated, we do keep things confidential. There's a reason for that. We don't handle these things. It's not you don't get a vote on it. It's something the board's going to have to deal with at some point in time. And there's a statutory process in Indiana that we must follow. And it goes, I can detail it for you if you want me to detail it for you, but the board has to stay out of it because they are the final decision makers with respect to these things. So that's why you don't hear anything from them. They're supposed to divorce themselves from the whole process. And we are working on it, and we will continue to work on it. But we're not going to give details in the public until things are resolved.
The public isn't asking for details. They're asking for assurance.
Yeah, sure. I assure you it's being worked on.
Yeah. And it just needs to be communicated. That's it.
I'll say anybody that has reached out to me personally, which has only been very, very limited, I have basically shared with them that this, we want to keep the kids safe. I think that's really important.
Absolutely.
And then try to educate them. As a school board, we're not the ones that actually do the make the decisions. The recommendations brought up to us, but in any situation, we're going to make that final decision. But they also have an opportunity to appeal to us. Well, how can they appeal? That would never be fair for anybody if we already made up our mind and we were the ones that were calling for it. So there has to be that process. As far as the statement, I will say this, and I don't know if the board knows this, but I have asked for a statement probably 5 times.
Thank you.
So we revised against it, but I had asked for a statement to put something out. I always believed beat the bad news home.
Yeah.
So I saw Ball State issued a statement. I saw some other schools issuing statements.
Yeah.
And I think it could be vague, but just say, hey, we see, we hear, we see, and we're addressing your concerns.
I will say I've received that. We've had people call and we've had that criticism levied. Mr. Murphy, I'm not putting onus on him, but we've talked about a statement 3 or 4 times over the last couple of days. Mr. Murphy's guidance and counsel. I'm not blaming you, but I'm saying that we're seeking the opinion of counsel on doing so, and I've been advised not to. But I will say this. I do believe that we need to review, in light of what we've seen, in terms of statements and similar type situations, our current stance on that as we continue to move forward. But Mr. Murphy's counsel to me has been during personnel matters to not put a statement, but I want you to know that I hear that that's frustrating and I understand why it frustrates you.
Kenny Peters?
Oh, I just want to ditto what Ms. Pitt said. And, I'm just an old truck driver. If you mind, you probably know my daughter, Ashley Lawrence, just runs a bank, and Kara's got a business uptown. And I just want to say, I don't know why I am the guy that everybody kind of vents to, but I've got people livid about this issue that we're talking about. And I respect all you people immensely. Pastor Troy's my pastor in my church. I respect all you. I know a couple of you, and you're great people. And one of the great things about living here in Indiana is that we don't have to put up with too much of the left's, bull crap, in my words. And that's the great thing about it. But this is America. You have a right to voice your opinion, but you don't have a right about the consequences for some of that actions that you voice. And I understand the appeals, and I do totally understand all this. But there's a lot of people. What kind of appeals did Charlie Kirk have? He didn't have too many. And it's just something that vile and that absolute, disgusting what was done to him in front of children. You can have, hey, this is America, you have your opinion, but I just feel that you should keep it to yourself. But I've had people say to me, hey, they're livid about this. They're saying, my child is not going to be around that certain person. I don't care what I got to do. And I said, hey, I'll go to the school board. I'll say something, but I totally respect you guys. I understand that. And I just want to say, in closing, that I got confidence that, you guys will do the right thing. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kenny. Sonny Back.
How you guys doing? First and foremost, I just want to say, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you stand on when it comes to the situation that we're talking about. This is a guidance counselor, and this is a good and evil thing. This isn't a Democrat or a Republican thing. This is about our kids. And this woman didn't just say something in the confidence of her office. She said something in her office to students. She said something in the lunchroom to students. Not to everyone, but she was speaking loud enough that everybody could hear what she was saying. I've been told by multiple kids that they've heard this. Now, I've heard some people come to this woman's defense and say, oh, well, there's free speech and you should be able to say whatever you want. But if you're in a position where you are a guidance counselor and you are mentoring children, you're not just a teacher, you're the person that people come to when they are having problems. You can't stand on one side of the fence or the other and say somebody deserved to die. What's he think about the Second Amendment now? That's bullcrap, first of all. And second of all, I'm going to cite the First Amendment. You're not allowed to say that being a teacher or a guidance counselor. I don't agree with what was said. She is my son's guidance counselor. He falls under her care and jurisdiction as per guidance counselor goes. And I am one of these parents that he's talking about. I will not stand for a woman or anyone for that matter to speak hate in front of a bunch of kids, because it's not right. Like I said, when I first started, this is not about left or right. This is not about Dems or Republicans. This is about good and evil. And what she said was pure evil. Anyone who celebrates the death of a person for their beliefs, for their political views, is absolutely appalling, and they should not hold a position. There are people all over this country right now who are losing their jobs for what they said about Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was a man, and he never spoke hate, and you can say whatever you want. But that man gave every single person a platform. And he wasn't my favorite person, but I'll tell you what, Charlie Kirk spoke the truth. And the problem wasn't that he was speaking hate. It was that he was speaking conviction to people, and they didn't like what he had to say. So all I have to say is I'm glad that you guys are handling this. And like Ms. Pitts said, I am appalled that there hasn't been at least a hint of any kind of statement saying, we're taking care of this. We're going to make sure that this is taken care of. We've all got radio silence, and it's just been crickets chirping over a situation that has not just blown up this community, but the entire world, not just the United States. All over the world, people are holding vigils. Good and evil does exist. And when George Floyd was killed, they were holding riots and burning down towns. Charlie Kirk they have done nothing but hold vigils and be peaceful. And I'm not here to incite a riot or I am angry. I'm an angry parent right now because this is a person who comes directly in contact with my son. And everybody else's kid that falls under the A through L
Real
out
quick,
the high
Sonny,
school.
that was your 3 minutes. You want
All right,
like
that's
you
fine.
want
I'll
15
yield.
seconds just to wrap it up?
No, I just want to make sure that my voice is heard and something is done about this situation. She should not have her job, and that's all I have to say about that.
Can I say?
Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to say something. Sounds like you read my Facebook post.
I did, but I will.
Sound like you read it because it sounded like you just spoke it word for word.
As is coming out of the heart.
But hey, I will say this. If what you're saying is true, and I'm not saying you're not saying truth, then I would tend to agree with what you're saying. That is not acceptable. If she was saying things in the lunchroom, I would encourage those kids to go talk to the principal and let them know, because I don't know that that's been done, and maybe they have. I don't know all of the case, but I think anybody that heard her say it and heard her celebrate it should report that. I'll just say that.
Absolutely, they should. But it's not one of those things where it's just, oh, we're going to go and talk to our principal about it. A lot of students are silenced for what they want to say, and they're like, no, you can't do that, or you can't say that. So I will absolutely tell my son to go. He heard it. And the woman that said that, it's hearsay and kids lie, that makes me absolutely angry, because first and foremost, kids do lie. But no kid is going to lie about a guidance counselor saying something in front of a group of people to try and get her fired. Like what does a kid have to gain by saying something like that? That's all that's pretty much what I have to say about it. You know, like people are saying that she didn't say it, but well, she didn't show up to work the next day after she said it. So that caused me to believe that something must have been said. You know, we went and looked for her on Facebook. We found her the night before, couldn't find her the next day. Couldn't find her when we went to look for on the school registry. And then like she's all kinds of stuff on there, but nothing about what was said. Now she had plenty of time to go through and delete what she needed to delete, or if she even did. I don't know. I'm not trying to speculate. But all I know is if you're not guilty, you show up to work the next day.
Well, number one, I'd like to thank everybody for their input. Sonny, Kenny, and Kimberly. Appreciate it. Appreciate your passion.
But Sonny, if I could just say one thing,
We're going to have to move on.
These men will do, these ladies and gentlemen will do something about that.
I hope so.
We got to give them a chance because you got to understand there is a process.
I'm not saying that you're not going to do anything.
Let's just let the process work.
Absolutely. I'm just saying my piece.
I hear you. Chad hears you. The board hears you on the statement. We'll take that. We'll take that.
And our children should always, always have the know and safety to go to the administration, the principals, the teachers. They should know that is there, and there is a group of people that
It's see something
I
or hear
absolutely
something,
agree
say
with
something,
that.
right? That's
Yes.
what you guys, that's what you guys state.
But if you have somebody that's there, that's speaking and spewing hate like that, then how confident, if you feel the other way, are you going to be to go and say something? You know what I mean? Like, that's all I'm saying.
Especially
Like,
when
kids
she's
should come forward and say it if they heard
Especially when
it.
she's in a position of authority.
Absolutely. Oh, I didn't say that.
I would say to that comment, we're here every single month. You guys can come and talk to us every single month. At the time everybody wants to come talk to us is when a big topic comes up, which I get and we appreciate. But we appreciate more because like's been said, this board, we're not head cutters. That's not what we do. We don't immediately jump into what's going on. We're supposed to stay as neutral as we can and take in the information from both sides, right? So that's what we're trying to do tonight. But when somebody goes on social media and they're just having a diatribe on things that they don't really know anything about, and there's probably facts that we don't even know, because I was talking to Phil beforehand. Really, I've tried to stay as out of this as much as possible, because after we're done, we got to go have a private meeting about this, right? And because it's personnel, it's not like we can talk to it in a public forum.
Absolutely.
So we're going to have that conversation about that, and that's why this input's important. But people only want to come and listen to what's going on when there's big topics.
I get it.
We're here every single month, and you can talk to us if you feel like there's an issue about our kids aren't being listened to by our administration. We're here every month, man. So bring those when it's not just a hot topic.
Blackford. I'm talking about schools across the nation. I've heard from kids that they're afraid to go and speak about things because they're afraid to be shut down. I'm not talking about Blackford.
Okay, that's my understanding of what you're saying.
I grew up here in Blackford. I moved away for 16 years and I've recently moved back. I've been back here in Blackford for about a year and a half now. And I will absolutely get more proactive in all kinds of things. I try to be as involved as I possibly can because I care about our kids. I care about our youth. Like, I'm wearing a Ride With Us t-shirt. This is an organization that me and one of my best friends started to get kids out and involved and get them off social media and introduce them to the community and people that they would never speak to because their heads are stuck in a cell phone or on a TV or playing video games. I'm all about the youth, man. I
Appreciate it.
I'll be more involved. Absolutely.
And just to be crystal clear on Scott's comment on our meeting after the meeting, we're talking about the process.
Right.
So Steve's going to inform us. Here's the things that have to happen procedurally, no facts or anything like that, because we cannot hear those facts. We're impartial until if it would come to us. Not saying
So
it's
how
coming
would you
to us.
prefer somebody to, if they see something or they know something, say me, for instance, I work in the school.
First is you
How would you
always follow
prefer?
the chain of command.
How would you prefer?
Follow the
I can
chain of
tell you
command.
The way this rolled out for me.
Well,
Right.
real quick,
Yep.
before we go there, how you address it is the chain of command. The chain of command being where did you hear it, or your child or whoever? Address that building administrator. Go to the building administrator. If you're not satisfied with the building administrator, you go to the superintendent. If you're not satisfied with the superintendent, then you come and address it with the board. And it lets everybody have their kick at the can at the issue without skipping.
Why should the public have to go to the school administrator or the superintendent when you, sir, were elected by the people? You're here for us.
I'm
You're here for the children. You're here for us.
I'm absolutely
We
here for
elected
it.
you.
I've been here
So
22 years.
Why is it improper to come to the people?
Did I
that
say
we
it was
elected?
improper? No. I
You
said,
prefer it to go to the principal?
no, that's the chain of command. That's how you do things. I don't know how you do things in the courthouse. If someone has a problem with your office, would you prefer them to come to you, or would you prefer them to come to the
What
commissioners?
if it involves them? What if it involves the school administration?
That would, if you have a complaint about me, or let's say you have a complaint about a building principal, then going to that next level is reasonable. So if you're upset in the way, like, for example, your comment about ultimately the final responsibility for a statement on this issue would be mine at the
Falls
advice
on
of,
you,
yeah.
yes.
So if you're, so in that light, I believe that's a perfect example of an issue where going to the board first is appropriate, and I want to clear for him, and I think I can say this for all the board. They're going to listen. They're going to listen, but frequently they'll direct you back to the level, of immediacy in handling those issues. So I don't want you to misinterpret when he said starting at the building level to say he wouldn't listen, because I know all of these.
No, we'll always listen, but it's appropriate to give the building administrator that chance first. We want to hear everything. I mean, we're transparent as we can be. I mean, we're here for the students. We're here for you. You're right. We were elected to take care of this corporation, and don't take my comments as shirking responsibility. I just want to make sure that we don't get the cart ahead of the horse with the building administration, because they have a job to do.
I understand that. I
And-
do. I understand that. And I have followed that process before.
Yeah.
And that process failed me. It failed me with my own daughter that was involved in a situation.
Well, then did you take it to the next step?
I did.
And did that fail?
I never spoke with Mr. Yenser about it, but the building supervisor, which would be the principal, knew about the situation. And I also spoke to school board members about it. And ironically, a school board member already knew who I was referencing to, because it wasn't the first time that that person was spoken about to that school board member. So yes, I have gone through your process that you would prefer, the chain of command, and it failed me.
Okay. Any other comments before we roll on? Not, we'll go.
Just real quick to Sonny's point, there needs to be further investigation on top of this investigation as to performance. Because I just want to say clearly that within an hour of Charlie Kirk's assassination, within an hour or two, I'll say it that way, I was being contacted by parents and some students, and I immediately stopped our superintendent, who reached out to school administration, and it was ironic that a particular name had surfaced, and I just would like to know that the administration, so I'm speaking to the administration, is investigating performance through this process, and that we're thinking clearly about performance through all our employees, and are we being fair and consistent to the state policy and to our own policy? Are we being fair and consistent to state policy and our own policy? And I say that because the board now is in the community is in a very tough situation, to where if we have a situation to where this leads to a further disciplinary action, can we fundamentally support that legally? And if we can't, even though I know that a particular name has surfaced several times, then we got a gap and we got a failure. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. I don't know this person, never heard her name until the other day.
Yeah.
So if it's coming up this often, could there be a level of falsity to it? Absolutely. But more than likely, it's true.
I got you, Sonny, and I agree. And what I'm asking for the administration and the board and us to really consider and look at is that we're fundamentally fair and consistent through our whole process, as to not have what we think potentially could be a one-off situation show to be not a one-off situation, but yet we can't fully discipline a person because we have no documentation or performance review history that lets us. Please don't let us get in that situation.
Thanks,
I
Jim.
just want my kids to be safe. I don't want somebody speaking hate when they're in a position of guidance. That's all.
I agree. Thank you.
It's fair.
Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to go into the consent agenda. The consent agenda, and again, with the folks that came here to speak, if you want to stay, you're more than welcome. If not, you can go ahead and leave. We're going to roll into the consent agenda, and what we have in there is any amendments to the agenda, which we do have some. We also have the minutes from the prior school board meeting. We have claims this month totaling $1,849,356.48. We do have several professional developments. We do have donations. We have, I think, a total of 10 of them. Get that up here. There they are. We'd like to thank everybody, all the donors, for their generous donations. We do have Langdon Brothers, C Corp, to the $300 to the tech team support. Blackford County Development Corp, $500 to the tech team support. Mr. William Armstrong, $200 for shoes for students in need. Miss Juanita Stallsmith, $100 for the tech team support. Brady and Jessica Schroyer, $500 for the FFA support, $400 for the soils contest, and Mrs. Denise Heil of Heil Family Farms, $300 towards fifth grade zoo trip. And then we have also ADM Custom Creations, $250 towards the fourth grade field trip. Tina Coons, $100 towards the fourth grade field trip. And Wilson Grain Farms, $250 to the fourth grade field trip. And we also have Hartford City Wesleyan Church, $539 towards students' activities at BPS. So we'd like to thank them very much for those donations. And we also have our monthly transfer from the education fund to the operations fund. This month it is $150,000. Is there any items that any board would like pulled out and voted separately on the consent agenda? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. That takes us to our action items. We have, first up, we have personnel report, Mr. Wilson.
Yeah, personnel reports in the pack, a lot of VCA position appointments, some FMLA leads. On your addendum, there's an additional resignation that occurred after the board pack was created, an additional appointment to fill on a temporary basis, one of the second grade classrooms due to a long-term FMLA leave.
Any questions for Mr. Yenser on the personnel report? Not, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Or second?
Second.
Those in favor? Carries 5-0. Next up, we have a Pride Mark invoice. Mr. Yenser.
This is continuing invoice for the work on the secured entryway project. We're 99% done. We're punch list. The HVAC system's finally in, so Jason and crew got portable air conditioning units that have been in there as the HVAC unit was finalized. But I had a parent tell me the other day that going through the high school office feels like going through Fort Knox now. And I said, thank you. That was kind of the goal. So with the secure vestibule and the movement of that has created a more secure entryway to the building. So I appreciate the board's support on that project, and we're coming to a close.
We had an incident out there a few weeks ago, and a couple of the officers said this was the first time they'd been in, didn't know it had changed.
Yeah.
We maybe have them all out.
Yeah, Craig's got, we have a countywide safety commission scheduled for the week after fall break, and we're going to actually house it out there, and we're going to invite all medical personnel or all emergency personnel through. And a lot of them have walked through, but I agree, maybe extending that, Craig, out to any maybe first responders outside of our law enforcement invite would be good.
Any questions on the Pride Mark invoice? The total is $100,539.93. No questions. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Second.
Those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Next up, we have Barton Cove Velma invoice. Two of them. First one is the 4,100. Is that the one for the bond?
Yes.
Any questions for Mr. Yancey on that? Not, do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Second.
It's come.
Those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. And then lastly, for Barton Cove Velma, we have 37.5 coming out of the rainy day fund.
Continued work on the Performing Arts Center.
Any questions for Chad on the rainy day fund invoice? Not, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
For a second.
I'll second.
Those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Next up, we have resolution for appointing a new building corporation member.
Yes, you have, what we consider a vacancy. The school board appoints the building corporation members. We have one member who has not been able to attend very many of our meetings and has a work conflict now. And so we thought we ought to fill out our board position. So we have 5 members. So there's a resolution to appoint a 5th member.
Any questions for? I guess just for general information, Jeff Wetzel is the appointee for this to be added to the building corporation. This would put us back at 5.
Correct.
On the building corporation. So we have Jeff, if elected, Mark Townsend, Dave Bowman, John Price, and Christy Jennerson.
Correct.
Make up. Just other little color to that is, you explain to the folks what the building corporation is, just so.
The building corporation works with the school board on bonding projects, and it actually owns the building for a temporary period of time and issues bonds that we use the bonds to improve the school, They would own the high school until the bonds are paid off.
Any questions on the appointment? Not, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. That gets us through our action items. Now we move into the discussion section. And the sale of 1580 South Spring Street, Mr. Hanser.
Just to remind the board, 6 years ago, we sold Southside School. Now it's hard to believe it's been that long. And when we did that, the buyers did not want the old Babe Ruth diamond. It's been years since it's been a competitive diamond. We worked with the city a while ago to try to develop through Ready Grant a project there, and that Ready Grant was not funded. So the city has given us the property back. The board voted a couple months ago to go ahead and move that to sale. We listed that, had very good interest right away, and we completed the sale. We sold the property for $28,000. That's going to be direct deposited back in our operations fund. So that is complete. Transfer of title is underway, and we're all done with that. Special thanks to Tina Coons for her help in moving the property pretty quickly and moving us forward.
All right. Next up, we have some movement of some upcoming meetings for October.
Typically, for folks that are interested in coming, our board meetings are the third Tuesday of every month at 5:30. But in October, we're making a switch. We need to have 2 meetings for budget adoption process and hopefully completed negotiations, depending on how that process continues to go. With fall break early this year, October 14th and October 28th will be the 2 meetings in October to facilitate budget adoption for 2026 and teacher contract ratification. You have to do a hearing for those and then final votes, and they have to be 10 days apart. So that's the reason for the changes.
Good questions on the schedule change? Not, we'll go to data review.
All right, so that's kind of full out. I hopefully you had a chance to look through the slides a little bit. But tonight's and I tried to share on last year's standardized tests that our students take, just to kind of give us an idea of where our students are performing academically. So that's what tonight is about, and I apologize. Okay, so just kind of looking at a lot of numbers, I think before we look through our achievement data, it is worth noting that these dots each represent one of 23 area schools that we tend to compare ourselves to because they're either in our region or of similar size. Mostly they're in our region. So if we look at those dots, the further they are on this spectrum is the higher percentage of students who are on free and reduced lunch. And so if you look at that, this is us as Blackford County. So we're the second highest of those 23 schools. Oh no, I'm touching things up there. This will be bad, so we'll have to leave it. Anyways, we are the second highest, and I do think that that is worth noting because typically there is a correlation overall between where students are on that socioeconomic line and their achievement data. So that we're right there around 63.9% was our intermediate school last year. So okay, Beth, I'll have you slide on over. Same thing, I kind of broke down that data with those free and reduced meals and a little bit again. So if you compare the state average to the iLearn grades 3 through 8, students with paid meals usually are about 42.1% of passing, and then we were at 35.1, so that's just a discrepancy. I point it out because it might help us as we're trying to figure out, students to target, interventions to put in place. This might be a group of students that we want to try to target and make sure that they're on track. For iLearn overall, we were a little bit above for free and reduced, but then this is just a breakdown of the iRead only. And for students that paid, we were a little bit higher with our third graders in iRead than that state average, but definitely a little bit lower for the iRead on those on free and reduced. So I'll let you go on, Beth. This is a look backwards. So I wanted to kind of show you a picture of where things were a couple years ago to where they were this past spring. So you've probably seen this slide before with Mr. Parker, I'm guessing, but this we're 2023. So blue is good, red is not where we want to be. And so at that time, of all the 15 areas that students take standardized tests in, I read all of your iLearn grade 3 through 8, and then your juniors on SAT. We had one group above the state average, one well above, one just above, two just below, and then the majority down here. So I know that's something that everyone has been working really hard on. So then you fast forward to the next slide, which is 2024. Definitely a lot of things were put in place, different interventions, different curriculum. A lot of work has been done in this district. And in 24, definitely saw some really good progress with that happening. So we were down from 11 to only 4 here. You know, we're moving up. And we had 3 in that better category of being higher above. And then this past spring is kind of what I want to talk about today. Again, this shaded gray was 24, and then this is 25. And so we had a little bit of a drop. We have picked up a couple more in this further below, but we also picked up more that were just above too. So it's kind of a mixed bag overall of where we were. But overall, there are those 5 areas of the 15 that are above the state average, and then there are 10 that are still below. And so we still have some work to do, which is what the principals are going to be talking about here in a few minutes. So Beth, I'll let you go ahead. This is a breakdown chart. It's really hard to see up here, but we're really working hard to chase those state averages. We want our students, that's what we're chasing first. You know, first we want to make sure that our students are performing as well as students across the state. And then after that, we're going to want to make sure that work to definitely exceed those. So at the top are areas, you can see the state averages italicized, and then you can see where we are in areas that are red, are areas that are still below that state average, and areas that are green are areas that were above. And that scales from the iRead in 3rd grade to all your iLearns through 3rd through 8. And then this is covered up, but this is the SAT, ELA math. Sorry, that's corporation overall. And then there's your SAT. So kind of where we are, you know, some areas are red, but they're pretty close. ELA 8th grade's an example of that. Like they're just barely a point off. And so we're definitely keeping that in mind, and a lot of things are trending in the right direction. And then there are some areas that we're going to be focusing heavily on to try to turn around too. So let you slide on. I'm sure Mr. Campbell is going to talk about this, but I want to kind of individualize each school a little bit. This is a big celebration slide for us. The primary school has worked to put some new curriculums in place, and they worked so hard last year. So if you know, iRead used to be the test that 3rd graders had to take in order to pass and go to 4th grade. Well, now they are giving that in 2nd grade, which is really just for the chance for kids to take it a couple of extra times. And if they pass in 2nd grade, they don't have to take it in 3rd grade. And so we were above that state average at the primary school last year. And half of those 2nd graders that took that test, that really is created for 3rd graders, that half of our 2nd graders were able to pass that. So we were excited about that, and just excited to see that work continue and to build on that. And then our iRead at the intermediate school has been showing a lot of growth from where it was in 2023. We had that 72.5% of our students were passing. And then that grew in 24, and then it grew even more in 25. So we're at 81, definitely showing trends in the right direction with our 3rd graders. So this continues to be a big goal for us because the state did put their teeth a little bit back more into that retention law. And so we're working hard on that to make sure our 3rd graders are at proficiency so they can go on to 4th grade and, you know, read to learn instead of learning to read. And then Mr. Ridge will definitely probably address this information too, but there's lots of celebrations to be had with our SAT data. Our math percent passing was up 15%. That's well above the state average. our students that were passing reading and writing, that is up again over state average. And so overall, our students passing both parts of that SAT is up 16%, which is a really huge growth. They've worked very hard to get that. Biology also, biology has gone up. And so climbed from 26% to 37%, which is great. And then even our junior high, I learned this was on the other one, but if you break that down to kind of look at as junior, senior high, even our areas that are still not at that state average at the junior high, they're all within 2 or 3 points. And so they're really doing a nice job, you know, trending upward there as well. So I'll highlight our 8th grade math was 25.9% above the state average, which is just something really phenomenal. I want to make sure I point out that a lot of good things happening in that math at the junior high. So I'll let you go on. I guess in a prelude to the principals sharing their plans, I think we continue to build on our toolkit. There's great work that's been done there, and that's being implemented. We just commit to our goals. We recommit to those connect and influence and achieve. The high school, they're going to keep building on successes and focusing a little bit on authentic literacy, which Mr. Ridge will share more about. The intermediate schools in year 2 of a new reading curriculum. And so year 2 is always a lot better implementation than year 1 when it's all brand new. So they're going to kind of refine what they're doing there. We'll keep tracking our data and you know, using our coaches to make sure our teachers have the support and the tools they need for instruction. And then the primary school, they've got a great system set up with their instructional coach too. She meets with their teachers regularly to share best practices. And I'm really proud of all of the schools because I think they're deep diving into, you know, you give kids tests, and if you use that information to drive what you do the next time, then that's useful. And our principals and our teachers are doing that. They're deep diving into that data and trying to figure out what are those areas that our kids are, what are we doing well? What are our kids really rocking? And then what are those areas that maybe we need to adjust or focus more on? So those are kind of things that we keep working, we keep doing. So,
Can I ask a question?
yeah.
Could you elaborate more on the rise in the scores? Is that just good old fashioned hard work? Is AI contributing to that?
I don't think AI is contributing to that.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll be able to speak more. It really is just a whole lot of hard work. I mean, our teachers are working incredibly hard. They are pouring themselves into trying to be better and just trying to make sure that kids are learning the way they need to learn. It is hard work.
That's what they need.
And I think that they're willing to do that and roll up their sleeves. And, you know, we try to have that growth mindset that if we're going to work hard, then it's going to show off. And that's what we want our kids to believe too. So it's hard work on the part of
Because you see
everyone.
kids are going home and letting AI do their homework, and I'm thinking, man.
Yeah, that will not show up in these numbers that I just shared with you because
they're doing
when
some
they
of that.
take these tests, they don't have anything to look at. It's all what they've got up here.
That's good.
100%. You're telling Cash down the road. Any other questions at all about any of that? Okay, so you guys know each year schools are required to create a school improvement plan. We want to have school improvement plans because that's where we take all this information and try to come up with a concrete plan for getting better. So I'm going to let the principals, we'll start with Mr. Campbell at the primary school. He's going to come up and share a little bit about their.
Yes, sir.
I want to begin by sharing what last year's our goals were for last year. Every year we try to have a language arts goal, a math goal, and a general goal. So last year we wanted our spring diagnostic scores to show from fall to spring to show growth. Let me preface, the diagnostic is our method. We test every student in the building fall, winter, and spring. and it tracks their growth and progress, and it helps us to discern where we might have deficiencies in our major skills. At the K2 level, it's all foundational reading skills, phonics, phonemic awareness, and so forth. So that's what we really concentrate on. So at the beginning of the year, last year, we wanted to have a 70% students of all of our students pass the at or above grade level in phonemic awareness and phonics, and we met that goal of 70%. We wanted for our math goal, we wanted to lower the number of students that came in well below average, and we moved them, dropped from 28% to 2% by the end of the year for first grade, and from 48% to 14% by the end of the year for excuse me, second grade. So we're showing a lot of growth where things are really starting to click and come together for us to show that type of growth and success. But the biggest goal that we met last year that she's already spoken about was our iRead assessment. This is a third grade assessment, and we were, for the first time ever, met or exceeded state average. The other really amazing point of that is a 26% growth from the year before. So we more than doubled the amount of students or in percentage that passed that iRead test. So we think we've got a really good recipe in place to cook up some really good scores for next year. So following that same format of having a reading goal, a math goal, and a general goal, goal one for our reading goal, instead of concentrating on two of the areas of literacy, we're going to look at our overall performance levels of all the students. And we're going to, if we look at last year, we moved from 14% to 58% of our students overall on level by the end of the year. So we're going to stretch that a little bit and shoot for 65% of all students to be at grade level by the end of the year for the reading assessment. Same way in math. Last year, we moved from 10% at the beginning of the year being on level to 46%. This year, our goal is to move 60% of our students up to grade level. And once again, for our iRead goal, we still want to maintain the state average level. So that's our goals for this year. Like I say, I think we've got a really good recipe going. We are 4 years in on this curriculum, and we're really starting to show the benefits of what we've been working on. So any questions?
Mr. Campbell, how many students in the third grade read to learn, not learn to read? How many did you retain? Two.
Now, let me just to clarify, you retain two at your building.
Yes.
The third grade's at the Biz. So that, no, you're good. You're good. It gets confusing. They've moved the third grade test into second grade. And so what we're celebrating is, in the class now that is our current third graders, 50% of them have already passed the test before the first day of third grade. So that's tremendous. And like he said, a 25% improvement over the 26% improvement over the second year. So Jim will speak a little bit about the retention. And this is our, not that we haven't always, but when the state flipped the mandatory retention for students who don't pass in third grade, it's, high stakes testing of 8 and 9-year-old kids. So we'll talk about that with the third grade a little bit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Campbell.
And when he talks about the retention and we talk about that 25% growth, remember the third graders who are fourth graders now, they were at a lower level coming in. Yeah.
That's actually what I was trying to draw to.
Got it. Sorry.
We had 8 retentions in third grade this past year. Mr. Jones, Mr. Yancey, members of the board, thank you for having me tonight. So as we begin this academic year, we anticipated the arrival of our second graders coming in. We knew all the hard work that they had done down there, and we're excited about that as well. As well as the new students that we have in the district. We actually were in the plus this year with more students coming in to BIS than leaving BIS. So we're real excited about that as well. Our priority was to ensure a strong and positive start for all of them We also welcomed 5 new staff members to our team. So it was critical with all the new students, over 100 third graders, 16 or 17 new enrollees, that everyone had a common vision and a positive expectation for our students. We're constantly dedicated to cultivating a learning community where students and teachers collaborate effectively. But we also remain committed to building strong relationship with both parents and the wider community, guided by our CIA model. This year, as you heard in the data, our primary challenge is to enhance our iRead and iLearn scores from 2024. This marks our second year, as Ms. Moulton had said, of utilizing our ELA curriculum, and our teachers have established a robust foundation for instruction, leveraging all of the different resources that the ELA curriculum gave us. We will continue to focus on staff development activities that include understanding of our observation rubric. Over the last couple of years, we have enhanced and built a teacher rubric that when we go in as administrators and observe our teachers, that has been created by the teachers. And so if you follow that rubric for the teachers, it gives great instruction. It's like a guide for anybody. So we are always learning that and always working with our teachers to try to find best practice using that rubric. We need to continue to strengthen our targets for iRead 3. We're utilizing some after-school tutoring now, specifically targeting iRead 3. If you remember a couple years ago, we had accelerated learning. We used COVID money to help all kids for after-school tutoring. Now we're focusing specifically. We have about 30 students that we've invited to after-school tutoring twice a week, and that's going to run through December. We'll evaluate based upon their data and see which kids. We might have new kids that come on. We might have kids that were still in there. We're going to do a writing workshop for our teachers in 5th and 6th grade, where we're realizing that writing component still needs to be there. I think you said it, sir, about kids on their devices, and I think Sonny said it too. That's why he started the program there. And so a lot of that writing component needs to be there in the school. So we're gonna help our teachers with some PD there, and just re-preparing for the iLearn, using the iLearn checkpoint. So the state now has these checkpoints that we do. So we have one in October, we have one in December, and then we have one again in January. And so they tell us in the blueprints what they're going to be assessing us on. So the teachers have mapped that out, and we're teaching those standards right now. And then we'll use that data to formulate enrichment programs or remediation based upon those things as well. And then obviously we need to continue to support comprehensive classroom management support, and just ensuring that we're all on the same page when it comes to the expectations of students in the classroom, in the hallway, in the cafeteria, on the bus, wherever it might be. So we want to enhance those things as well. Our goals this year, as Mr. Campbell stated in his goals, and Ms. Moulton spoke about it too, we're chasing that state average. So goal 1 for us in iRead 3 is to meet or exceed that state average. We were at 81%, huge jump for us over the last couple of years, but a lot of hard work still needs to come. We have specific and targeted instruction for kids. The iRead 3 has 3, and I'm sure Mr. Rich is timing me right now, because you guys know as a board how long I talk. But just to give you a little idea about iRead 3, because it is such a high stakes test, there's three components to it. There's a foundation component, which Mr. Campbell is sending us students that have that foundation, and it's great. So we're talking about kids understanding blends and sounds and putting words together, and using those words to make sentences, and coming up with rhymes, and coming up with antonyms and synonyms, and the end of the root word sounds like this word. So they're coming up with all of those things, and that's the foundation. That's test 1. The second segment of it is they have to read a nonfiction passage. And a lot of kids don't like the nonfiction. It's boring to them. This would be like reading about science numbers or solar astronomy, or you're getting facts. And a lot of kids like the science fiction and all of that. So you're reading, and then what we say to them is it's right there questions. So it's right there from the reading. They have to answer the questions from that. So they have to take a passage, they have to read it, and then they have to come up with the answers for it. And that's segment 2. And then segment 3 is fiction. Kids really enjoy the fiction more than a lot of kids do, especially in 3rd grade. something that's of interest to them, but we don't know what passage we're going to be given on the iRead. So they take those passages, they read them, and then they have to answer the write their questions. And I say write their questions because the questions are related to the story, so the answers are right in the story. There's no inferencing of, I'm wondering what little Johnny's thinking about when he's up to bat. There's no inferencing there. That's iLearn. So for the iRead, it's just right there. They have to answer the question. So we target that instruction based upon kids that understand or have a deficit in foundations or have a deficit in reading nonfiction. Some kids like nonfiction, so they do really well in that category. So we'll specifically give them targeted instruction. So maybe 30 minutes a day for a kid for foundations, and they do that 5 days a week. And so we've really focused and targeted that. And some kids get even more than that based upon their need as well. Kids that have IEPs get even more help and support with that. And so we're dedicated to fostering those strong relationships with them. Goal 2 would be meet or exceed the math and ELA as measured by iLearn. So we're gonna look at our iLearn scores, and then we're gonna meet or exceed and chase after that state average as well. So some things that we're doing in there, what we've realized is on the questions, iLearn uses a lot of words that our kids are going to have to, what they use, they have to context clue them. So they look at the actual question, and they might not understand what the word diagram means, or they might not understand what the word inference means. And so we're going to teach them those words, so then that when they come up and they see those words on the test, they know what those words mean, so they can actually answer the question and be more equipped to be able to answer the question. And then goal 3, strengthening that partnership with our mental health agencies. Students, we have recognized since COVID even that we've had more skills coaches, Bowen, Meridian, Radiant, and we've got some outside counselors that have now started to come in to help support children. And so we want to strengthen that relationship with our mental health agencies to help provide students with extra support for them in the classroom, with maybe it could be managing their emotions, managing different skills that they have to be able to manage so they don't have a meltdown in the classroom when they're struggling with their math problem or they're struggling reading or whatever it might be. And so with that, one of our other things that we do that's not on here as we continue, and I'll finish up here now, is that parent communication with us is critical as far as that home and school bridge. And so we provide mornings with mom, and what that is we just have donuts every month with the parents and the moms or grandparents or any kind of caregiver, and we just go around and have a pride moment for them. We do an All Pro Dads program as well for our dads. A lot of them don't like to talk on the microphone, but we still allow them to have that access to their kid. And then we offer a food pantry. Mr. Campbell does a food pantry at his building as well. We have a Via Credit Union student branch. Pastor Kaufman brought that in years ago, and we brought that over to BIS from Montpelier. So kids get involved in that and various PTO events. Kids can be in student council, robotics, 6th grade volleyball, basketball. A lot of our 5th and 6th grade participate in junior high programs as well. We want them to find a connection at our school and take pride about being a Bruin, however that might be. And so we want to offer them all kinds of avenues where they can be a part of something at the school and feel connected. So with that, if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them, but thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Fox.
Anything? Okay.
Good.
If you're okay with it, my daughter has a soccer game. I'm going to try to catch the end of that.
Absolutely.
If that's okay. Is that okay, Mr. Answer?
See ya.
Okay.
I'd like to point out the soccer team has won 4 in a row.
Yes, right now they're winning, so it's going to be a 4-game win streak if I can get there and I don't ruin it.
Did you hear Mr. Lytle?
That's when I'll shave if we lose.
Oh, really? Bet.
He comes in like.
How about I do this? I keep my hair growing until they lose. I don't know. It might take a while, but
I'd like to see them win the state.
there we go.
Hey, we'd all be for that. All right, so to get started today, I was at a meeting last week with some area schools, and someone asked me, what are we doing to have success? Like, why are we having some some things that are starting to go so positively for us. And I'll start by saying, I think there's two things that are happening right now. I think we are hiring and retaining really good teachers, and we're getting out of their way. Okay. The second thing is our attendance is improving dramatically. Okay. And so if I'm going to try this. This may not be good. Okay. If you look at the attendance growth that we've had over the last several years, this is students with 94% attendance or higher. I won't bore you with all these, but you can see that students are coming to school more. If you have good teachers and more students are coming to school, they're going to learn more, right? And so I want to tip of the hat to Mrs. Mealy and Mrs. Rubel, because attendance is tireless work. The amount of data that you have to go through and getting letters out to everyone and those types of things, it's tireless work. Okay, yes, Mrs. Coons. Mrs. Coons does work for Mrs. Mealy. So yes, she's killed some trees with the paper that she goes through, but we are getting there. We've had good partners with probation. We got a little bit of both things going on there, but we're trying to just continue that upward trend of data and get rid of our chronic absenteeism. I'll put on here as our goal. If we can just keep climbing, we're at 60% of our students are at 94% or above. I think a good reasonable goal is about 3% there. And you have to believe that if that number keeps going up, some of these academic numbers that we're talking about are going to also continue to go up. I don't feel like I need to go to, I think we all know the importance of attendance. I mean, I think it's just like, what are we going to do to keep getting them there? And so we have good tracking systems in place. We have good communication, that I'll give some credit to the community, because I think the community has figured out that there's some consequences if you're not sending your students to school. So that will be our first goal, is to continue to increase our attendance rate. I know a lot of us are really competitive, and I got to tell you, like, I see this, I see how close we are. Like we are close to going 7 for 7 in the standardized testing that we take our kids through. ELA for 7th grade it brought those kids so much closer. Mrs. Lee is suffering over 1 point. She was really, really close. She really, really wanted that. And obviously, we're having some really good growth in math. I know she's been mentioned here before about Holly Parker is an outstanding math teacher, and we're seeing some growth there. Biology, this was the second year these kids took this test. We're getting there. And again, we're really proud of what's happened with SAT, math, and writing. So, we take a look at this and we see we're right there on the verge. So, okay, well then what do you do to get over the hump, right? So there's a couple of things that we're going to be talking about doing. One, I've been talking for 3 years now about how we teach and what we teach. And one of those things is curriculum maps and making sure that what we're teaching is in line with what they're going to get tested on. We want to make sure that what we're teaching is in line with the Indiana standards, and make sure that we're very clear on that. Our teachers know what the students are going to be tested on, right? So identify those as essential standards. Make a map, figure out what's the most important, and teach that way. We're going to provide SAT and iLearn preparation opportunities. We have an SAT prep class right now. There's several assessments that you can take. There's workshops we can take them through. And as Mrs. Moulton said, we are taking a look at data and where are we weak? Where is it that we can have some growth, and then target our instruction there? I go back here just a little bit. If I was to kind of zero in on one area, that for us, it's language arts. Language arts is close. Okay. So it's just with some target instruction, using our data to figure out those areas that we're going to put our energy, and then just support our teachers with professional development that's focused on good practices. So again, we're back to knowing what to teach through the curriculum maps and how to teach it. I'll give credit to our teachers. They're doing a fantastic job. We are really, really narrowing the gap. By the end of this year, I want all 7 of those. I want to be back here speaking to you next year saying that in all 7 areas that we're tested on, we are above state average. Okay, shown growth in those areas, but I want to be above that. I think maybe, look, I don't know if you all know this, but I have an elementary background. I used to be an elementary teacher. I have a real love for literacy and real world reading, like reading for purpose. I don't know about all you, I've read a lot of things in my life that I didn't enjoy reading in school, right? And so we're working to get implementation of authentic literacy just across all subjects, reading for purposes, right? And so we've provided professional development for our teachers on that. Like, you know, for instance, if you're teaching your class, if you have the ability to apply reading to that. Like, I want to give you a really good example that I saw last week. Mr. Schultz took on this topic in social studies. His topic was, how has the Republican Party changed over the last 20 years? And then he had, how did the Democratic Party change over 20 years? And students had to go back to primary sources to look at platform positions and things like that, and look at source documents that were coming straight from political leaders at that time. And so they had a good discussion where they're going back and forth with primary sources, and then having a debate that they had to cite those sources. That's a great use of authentic literacy. I have one other thing that's on here. It's like it's something that I love this year. We even implemented 15 minutes of reading this year. They get to read whatever they want. It could be a newspaper, it could be a magazine, it could maybe be a comic book. Okay, but for 15 minutes, I wish Pastor Corey's here because he asks the question all the time. They can't have headphones on, they can't read off of a screen. Like, it's got to be a good old-fashioned like paper in front of them read, and you won't believe it. They kind of like it, right? They kind of like it. It's quiet. Right? They don't even know what to do with the quiet, but it's quiet. And so we're just trying to get literacy into the and get it in front of it. Read for enjoyment, read for whatever purpose you want. Okay. Some of them, they're getting this thing that gets delivered to the school every day. It's called newspaper. You guys heard of that? And so they read stuff, right? And they find out what's going on around town and stuff like that. It's not something that was sent to the phone. So anyways, we're learning how to read the old fashioned way. Okay. And so again, just feeling like if we can improve reading, we can improve across everything, across math, social studies, sciences, and things like that. So this is a new focus for us. We haven't talked about authentic literacy before, and so this is the first year we're implementing that. So we have some professional development that's going. I'll finish up by saying we've had success. We're having success. The bar is moving up at the high school, and so we just want to continue to build off of that. Okay. All right. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Ridge.
you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Last item we have for discussion is negotiated versus competitive bond sale.
Back in July, and we had a night where we only had three of the board members here. We had Stiefel come in. They're a group that does advisement. We've always utilized Baker Tilly. Baker Tilly and Stiefel work together in a lot of districts, and there's some real advantages to looking at the negotiated bond sale method. So just to remind the board, one of the big advantages when they presented was to get your underwriter on board for bond issuances earlier. That tends to lower that fee. It doesn't help the rates a ton, but by lowering that fee, and helping dictate a little bit of the structure that you can't do in competitive sale, there's some advantages. I'm going to send the board some more information. There's no decision on this, but I just wanted to update because we have on separate nights, Baker Tilly and Steve will talk, and we didn't have a full board here. So I want to revisit that communication as we look at the bond issuance later this year for the Performing Arts Center. But I'll send more information. But I do while for us to look heavily at the negotiated bond sale, which we haven't done previously.
Very good. Back to you for superintendent comments.
Just a real quick comment. The couple years ago, the funding count day moved from September 15th to October 2nd. I just wanted to tell you where we're tracking where we're tracking right now. As of today, which it changes during the day when I look at the spreadsheet frequently, we are at 1,396. Last year, our number was 1,412. So that is a small decline of 16 students comparative to this time last year. But we've had years where we've lost 40 or 50 kids as a while. So all in all, being down that many for Camp Day is fairly good news compared to previous year, but we're currently at 1396. There at the start of October, that data locks in, and then that sets our education fund funding for the year based off of the number of students present and enrolled, not present, but enrolled on that day.
Actually, public, thanks for showing up and talking to us, man. That's what we're here for. So don't be afraid. We're here every month, like I said earlier.
I do have a question about what's on the agenda.
Sure.
Can I ask it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So every month I see on the board minutes that there is a resolution to transfer 150 grand, or it's not 150. Sometimes it's 147 or it's 142, but it's around that range. Transferring money from education to operations. Can you explain that?
Do you want me to do that? Yeah. So the Indiana state law allows the board to transfer money from education to operations. So we have two separate funds that drive most of what we do. Education fund is based on student enrollment. That's one of the reasons I just brought it up.
Right.
Operations is your local property tax levy, and it kind of does what it says. It's bus drivers maintenance, insurance, utilities, smaller capital projects like paving or things that we wouldn't have to borrow. Okay. So all across the state, schools determine a transfer amount based on the needs of those things. So the state will put you on the naughty list if you go over 15%. So that variation that you see it each month, we get a draw from the state just to check for our ed fund, and that varies because there's a complexity. It's not just the kids in there, but there's what they call a complexity factor. There's CTE money in that, career and technical ed money. There's change in money for that on special ed count a couple times a year. So that money we get from the state, kind of like our revenue for the ed fund, varies monthly. So the number you see is typically about 14.5% of the money we receive. And without doing that, it's a longer answer than you're looking for. And you can come to our budget adoption. I'm going to talk about a lot on the 14th, but
We're getting ready to finish budget stuff up.
So one of the difficult things with Blackford County is we have a large circuit breaker impact, so we lose a lot of our operational revenue, due to property tax caps.
Yeah.
So we have to transfer that ed money into operations. But we're gonna talk about that a lot on the 14th. But that's what you see, and that's why it varies.
I wondered why it varied every month. Every month it's always about almost the same amount, but it differs just a little.
Yeah,
like maybe 5 to 7 grand.
Our check from the state varies every month.
I have a question. Is that enrollment K through 12 or pre-K through 12 or?
K through 12. So our pre-K students, and then we had an explosion in that program. We're up to 65 kids now in our pre-K. We get no direct state funding from them through normal school funding. We have a lot of students that attend on state programs through On My Way Pre-K and vouchers, but those 65 students in our preschool and those 5 preschool rooms are not counted in that enrollment. They don't count in our numbers to the state. Yeah. Good questions.
Yeah.
Great
Any other
questions.
Mr. Yitzer, I'm gonna go back to the Wayback Machine when I was in high school, probably seems like the 1800s, but this is fascinating to me, but like we had shop classes, we had automotive shop, we had your cars, work on, we had electric shop, we had all kinds. Is that pretty much pushed off the vocational schools?
Well, a lot of those programs are difficult to staff and pay for and do without involving other schools. So we have partnerships with the Career Center in Muncie. We're expanding our relationship with Marion Ivy Tech because it's closer, especially since they moved the Career Center down to Cowan Road, which is way down on the south side. So we're continuing. I sit on the board of Marion Ivy Tech, and we're working hard to expand our work with them. We unfortunately had a situation last year where we couldn't staff one of our shop programs. So Marion Ivy Tech built a program for our kids, tailor-made for Blackford School. So yeah, we have a desire, and Mr. Ridge and Mrs. Bolton and I are doing some work to put in front of the board over the next couple months. A new program. I don't want to talk about it yet because we're working on it, and we're trying to build consensus. But we do need to bring another hands-on opportunity back for our kids with the absence of that. We worked really hard last spring to try and find somebody to do that program, and we just could not find a viable instructor. So we want to pivot and change the programming. We're down to 2 different programs we're looking at right now to pitch to the board for expansion back in that CTE space.
As a former shop teacher, I will say that I think it was about the year 2000, the state of Indiana no longer recognized industrial arts courses. Wood shop, drafting, all those, they switched to industrial technology education and tried to morph all those into sub areas of transportation, communication, construction, and so forth. So that was the dagger of the heart of industrial arts shop classes.
It's just in my humble opinion, it's just that, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but I think we need a little bit of that HR. People going in HR and stuff like that. We need more electricians, plumbers.
We do.
Carpenters.
Teacher, it's every, it seems like in every area, the hospital, nurses, we fight staffing for a lot of our hourly positions and teaching positions. We have several teachers on emergency permits and those things to fill things out, and it's every area. So how do you fill the demands, of every area?
The kid wants to make money.
Yeah.
Good electricians, $150, $200 an hour.
We have, Jason, I don't want to misspeak on our number, but we have, is it close to 60 kids that are at the MAC this year? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then there'd be another 12, 15 to 20, another 15 to 20 at the other. So between our top 2 grades, where a lot of those kids are doing that, we would have over 70 kids out of about 210 kids in those types of programs. But unfortunately, they're not, not unfortunately, it's just part of it through the Career Center and through the Marion Ivy Tech.
Thanks.
Good questions. I guess one last thing I'll say, we're not going to go back through everything, but over the last couple of days, I've had an opportunity to talk to quite a few people in our community. And, I understand the concern about the statements, but we've worked hard to return every phone call we've got. I've not responded to fake email addresses from anonymous folks. I'm not going to do that. But if you call, we do work hard to get back and get in front of you. So as you get to these points, if there's points of community frustration, and you said you were an elected or a semi-elected spokesperson tonight, sir, if you're getting those calls, ask them to call me.
Okay.
Okay.
If there's no objections, this meeting's adjourned. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Kimberly.
Sure. We are going to go tomorrow night.
I figured